Manchester United finished in 6th place in what turned out to be a very turbulent year for the club. It was a campaign which saw Jose Mourinho lose his job in December, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming in to take the role, initially on a temporary basis, but made permanent towards the end of March. The task of rebuilding United is enormous, and it will take several years to catch Manchester City and Liverpool, but with Ole at the wheel gives me great confidence that with time, finance and patience, United can return to the top. Let's have a look at how Ole set United up last season and how that may translate into the upcoming campaign. United need to identify a system and an efficient plan B. The biggest problem at this football club over the last 6 years has been inconsistency, constant chopping and changing in formations, personnel and even managers. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in December, he started off with a counter-pressing 4-2-3-1, which transitioned into a 4-3-3 in possession. The emphasis was on winning the ball back early. United would press teams into the corners, and when possession was overturned, they looked to build quickly. In the bigger games, Solskjaer utilised a diamond in midfield with the ambition of absorbing pressure before hitting teams on the counter-attack. Over the course of those first few months, United were deadly and full of energy. It was a joy to watch. However, United couldn't sustain this style for the rest of the season. Poor fitness from the previous regime became a telling factor, and after the euphoria in Paris, United never seemed to recover, winning only 2 of their remaining 10 games. Solskjaer as a coach is somewhat of a hybrid between Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp. That's not to say that he's going to be successful as those managers, but there are noticeable elements of both in Solskjaer's tactical approach. We'll touch on the reasons for that as we progress. Moving into next season, I think Solskjaer's looking to deploy the 4-2-3-1. It's a system that he used in that amazing run at the start of his tenure where an unbeaten run stretched as far as 11 games. I think David De Gea will continue between the sticks for the upcoming season. Of course, we had that annual saga over whether he's staying or going, but it looks as though he'll be committing to a new contract, which gives Solskjaer one less position to worry about. The first key component in this system would be the focus on defending with a higher line. The addition of Aaron Wan-Bissaka will hugely complement that. His ability to constantly pressurise his opponent whilst maintaining his position in the back line is a very rare trait. As a result of a higher line, it allows the team to push further upfield as a unit. This provides the base for attacks to be built upon and leaves the forwards less isolated. I expect Luke Shaw to continue on at left back after winning Player of the Year last time out. He's a complete package at left back with his overlapping, underlapping and his athleticism to retreat back and defend. If he can replicate the season he's just had for years to come, he'll be a top player for this football club. In terms of backup, we've got Diogo Dalot, who can provide some good competition for Aaron Wan-Bissaka for the right back spot. Matteo Darmian and Ashley Young are also at the club. Yep, I'm just as surprised as you are. So there is backup there, although we can definitely improve in that regard. Solskjaer will instruct his side to build from the back, just like he did at Mulder. The focus is on moving his opponents around before evading their press, which can be done in 2 ways, either with short passes that break the lines, very much reminiscent of Guardiola's style of build-up, or with direct balls into the forwards to evade the press as a whole, which is what we see Van Dijk do so well at Liverpool. With United, however, this is easier said than done. Very few defenders at the club can consistently and competently distribute the ball. Victor Lindelof is by far and away our best asset in that remark. Elsewhere is a different story. Phil Jones and Chris Smalling don't possess the technical abilities required, with Eric Bailly and Marcus Rojo struggling for fitness over the last few years. It's evidently clear that United must invest in the centre-half, who has leadership qualities and can set the bar through their performances. Step forward Harry Maguire. The Leicester City defender would be a huge upgrade on the current crop. From the north of England, Maguire would absolutely relish the challenge of playing for Manchester United. Winning Player of the Year at every club he's been at is testament to not only how respected an individual he is, but also the fantastic player he's turned out to be. Maguire is often dubbed as England's best defender, and this can be observed through his composure. He's so comfortable playing short passes into midfield as well as switching it out to the far side. His range of distribution certainly fits this Guardiola-Klopp hybrid, which makes him the ideal man for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he's more than capable of stepping out and charging his side up the pitch with a dribble, thus eliminating opposition pressure. On a side note, Maguire is dominant in both boxes. Anything that comes into his own box, he deals with, and he has a knack for scoring crucial goals for club and country. Harry Maguire is also Premier League proven and would no doubt take ownership of the United back line. Despite his hefty price tag, he's no worse than Virgil van Dijk at the time he moved to Liverpool. So for me, let's stop haggling, let's get this one over the line. One to watch in the defence is the potential emergence of Axel Tuanzebe, who proved instrumental in Aston Villa's promotion charge during his loan spell. Tuanzebe excels at defending in the channels as well as anticipating the right time to step out and win the ball. His aerial ability can do with some work, but at 21 years old, he has plenty of time on his side. The Englishman is a born leader too, something United crucially lack, so I expect to see more of him next season as he looks to stake a claim for a starting place. You could argue that if Maguire doesn't sign, Axel could have a starting opportunity. Progressing into midfield now, which is another huge dilemma. Ander Herrera's already departed the club, and of course we have to endure this never-ending saga revolving Paul Pogba and a potential move away. So for the purpose of this preview, let's assume that Paul Pogba is to leave. In any successful 4-2-3-1, both the players in the double pivot will recycle possession often to keep things ticking, but will have slightly differing roles. On one side you've got a more defensive midfielder acting as the anchor of the side, someone who's going to screen the back four with good positioning and be able to act as the source of a counter-attack with sufficient passing. On the other side you've got a more box-to-box midfielder, someone who will line up alongside a defensive midfielder, but will also carry the ball in aid of the attack and occasionally arrive late in the box to latch onto cutbacks. In that all-important box-to-box midfield position, I'm going to go for Fred. It's time to see him play a consistent role in this side. Much has been made of Fred since he joined the club last summer, but I feel as though his situation is similar to that of Victor Lindelof. He needed a year to adapt to English football. There's a fantastic player in there, and I think he fits exactly what Solskjaer is trying to achieve. With more game time, I think he will come to fruition. The Fred that United signed is a player who functioned very effectively in a 4-2-3-1 at Shakhtar, often recycling possession with simple passes to accommodate for transitioning through the thirds. When not in possession, his role is to drift into the pocket, so there's an option to receive the ball back. In Ole United, this is the ideal role alongside a more defensive-minded midfielder. We've also seen Fred doing that, drifting forward to contribute to attacks. Take his goal from 20 yards versus Wolves last season. He looked very sharp in pre-season, and I'm hoping he can sustain that over the course of the season. In the defensive midfield position, we've seen Nemanja Matic consistently feature for the last 2 seasons, but the Serbian is now entering the twilight of his career, and last season was quite a poor one for him. He was often caught in possession, and his low range of passing restricted United's confined areas of the field. This season, let's give youth a chance. Let's bring Scott McTominay into the fold. 6'4" in stature, Scott has quite a strong build and aerial presence, much like Matic, but the academy graduate is much more athletic. McTominay is fantastic at screening the back four and does a very good job at closing the passing lanes, but he can also put in a good man-marking shift like he did against Lionel Messi in last season's Champions League. Despite question marks over his distribution, Scott's variety of range was illustrated in pre-season with a series of forward balls and cross-field passes. What I like about McTominay in particular is the way in which he retains possession. He can either knock it around with his defensive players as they look to build again, or he can hold on to it, lure opponents out of their shape, and exploit the gaps with a forward pass. At 22 years of age, Scott has plenty of time on his side to work on his adequate technical skills, as well as polishing off the defensive side of his game. Of course, you've still got Nemanja Matic as backup there, and you've also got Andreas Pereira who can slot into the Fred role, so options are available. One to watch that could stake a claim next season could be Jimmy Garner, a very cool customer with the ball at his feet, but also a very sturdy operator in terms of splitting the passing lanes through intelligent positioning. He's got that knack for bursting out to press or getting involved with an attack, so that could acclimatise him very well for the box-to-box position. It's going to be an interesting few years for Jimmy in terms of his development. At 18 years old, it's highly unlikely that he'll break through to start, but he can certainly knock on the door if he was to deliver some good cameo appearances. So the two-man pivot will provide the foundations for the front four to combine and invite the opportunity for fluid movement. But what does that specifically entail? Well, it's things like interchanging positions, one-touch play, passes around the corner, just to name a few. It's the ideal system for intricate build-up in central areas before drawing out defenders and then exploiting the space in behind them. A prime example of this in action was the winning goal against Tottenham in pre-season. In terms of personnel, the attack is another big conundrum for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You've got players that operate on both the wings but like to go up front as well as players who have been deployed wide but function more efficiently in central areas. On the left side for me, it will be Anthony Martial with the ambition of picking up the ball and isolating opponents for his direct running. Being right-footed, the Frenchman will have the licence to cut in off that left side and combine with teammates. As a more sporadic option, you've got new signing Daniel James, who attacks the space as opposed to taking on the opponent. James can operate on either side, and that flexibility can prove key coming off the bench. The right side remains somewhat of an issue, but I'm going to go for Jesse Lingard in that position. Not so much a direct runner like Martial, but Jesse is very spatially aware, and he exploits pockets of space very well. It's just getting that consistent output from him that's the thing. He's going to be 27 soon, so this is a huge season for him. We've seen glimpses of what he can do. He had a very good 2017-18 campaign, was very good at the World Cup. He needs to deliver this time out. Of course, you've also got Tahith Chong for that right-hand side, who is a more direct option. If United are looking to exploit opponents out wide, then who better than the young Dutchman, who looked very promising in the academy and pre-season. In that central attacking midfield role is where United may look to upgrade. We've seen Juan Mata play very well in that role in pre-season, but United could definitely do with a more dynamic option in there, with Juan Mata being 31 now. As tedious as the rumours got, Bruno Fernandes would be ideal for that central attacking midfield position. Bruno is fresh off of a record-breaking season, having racked up 32 goals and 18 assists last season, indicative of his creative significance to Sporting Lisbon. The majority of his goals come from late runs into the box to finish off moves that he himself started. United last season seriously lacked runners into the penalty area, and if Solskjaer wants to implement cutbacks and work the ball into the box, Bruno Fernandes is the man to complement this. If for whatever reason United cannot break down a stubborn defence, then yet again Fernandes can step up to the plate. He's widely renowned for long-range strikes and is lethal from dead ball situations. In terms of spatial awareness, the Portuguese international is very astute. He has a fantastic relationship with Bas Dost at Sporting Lisbon, who drops deep to hold the ball up as Fernandes bursts into the penalty area. United striker Marcus Rashford is developing his link-up play very well, and if those two can forge a strong partnership, that will massively upgrade the Reds in the final third. Another United youngster to watch is Angel Gomez. The attacking midfielder made his United debut at just 16 years of age and has consistently produced for the academy in his time at United. Gomez made some fantastic pre-season cameos in both central and inside forward positions. He's a flexible player who looks to play forward and drift into the pockets of space left by opponents. It's a key asset for a player to have when breaking down a defence. The defining element of Angel Gomez's game is his close control. Take the goal versus Tottenham, Angel carried it forward before playing a 1-2 Juan Mata and slotting it into the bottom corner. Stylistically, Angel and Juan are very similar, and all being well, we could see the former replace the latter as his career comes to an end. As I alluded to before, Marcus Rashford will be leading the line for Manchester United next season. Rashford was electrifying in the first few months of Ole's reign, highlighted by winning the PL Player of the Month for January. He then picked up a knock in early February, but for some reason Ole proceeded to play him through it. Once Rashi gets a full pre-season under his belt, he's going to be a threat. Marcus plays as an advanced forward who likes to receive possession in the channels and look to either score or create. If he's looking to score, his pace will allow him to bear down on goal, but if he's creating, he'll pull wider, dragging defenders out of their positions before finding teammates who have filled the vacated gaps. The news of Rashford's new contract is fantastic for the club, who have managed to tie down one of Europe's most promising young players for years to come. Out of possession, Solskjaer's 4-2-3-1 will press in a man-orientated style, mirroring the approach of Jurgen Klopp. This pressing scheme was initiated in the opponent's half, but if possession isn't overturned, the team drops back into a compact 4-4-1-1 to avoid exposure in the opponent's transition. The 4-2-3-1 is the system that I believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will primarily use in the upcoming season, but of course we have seen him alter his tactics for certain opponents, specifically the top 6 sides. In these types of games, I expect Solskjaer to deploy a 4-4-2 with a midfield diamond. In this formation, the emphasis is placed on hitting teams on the break. This is done by giving opponents the onus on possession and then absorbing their pressure. Going forward, the two strikers split wide, drifting into wide areas and then bursting into life when United win the ball. The player at the tip of the diamond, likely to be Jesse Lingard, operates as a false 9. This consists of pushing on to press the opponent's centre-halves, but more importantly dropping back to monitor the opponent's midfielders in the hope of breaking up play. United adopted this approach in wins versus Tottenham, Arsenal and Chelsea, and limited the informed Liverpool to a goalless draw, ultimately costing them the league. I'd expect Solskjaer to continue this against those sides. That is that for the tactical preview. So many questions will be answered over the course of the next 9 months. Will Ole implement his style successfully? Will it change if Pogba and Lukaku leave? Where will United finish? And can we pick up some silverware as a tangent marker of our progress? Let me know any of your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.